Hello everyone, I'm Renowned Zero. We are back again talking about how new CG or CG weirdos are absolutely melting down over the simple fact that me as a full-grown adult am spending my money on things that I want. It's absolutely hilarious even watching these guys melt down over the fact that I used my 60% off Zaylan coupon. You know, the same Zaylan they were crying about for, I don't know, about a couple of weeks because of a misprint that happened that wasn't really a huge deal for most people, as it was barely noticeable for most people, and you really had to go searching for said misprint in order to even see it. So, and he gave it to everyone, whether you refunded the book or not. I did not refund the book because I don't really care like that. It's not a huge deal. I'm not going to cry over $25 that I paid for a comic. It's not a huge deal. You guys are honestly just brokies if you're crying about $25. But let's get into all the madness. Of course, starting with Norfolka Glorious Death #1. Pre-order collection 79 days ago. Over 100,000, yet another six-figure campaign for the Rippaverse once again at 2,777 total books sold. There's, of course, 4 covers. Obviously, cover C is always the foil cover. You know, get in on all that. They got vinyls, posters, shirts, etc., etc. So get in on all of that. Rippaverse #4 sitting at 47,750 in total sales, 2,537 total books sold. This is a magazine. This isn't a full-fledged comic, so it is going to be a lot cheaper at the cost of $8, with a bunch of things like previews of Yara 3, Horseman #1, Zaylan, and the Great War Separation #2, as well as a short story called Catch and Kill. And then you have Saints and Sinners for 23 more days with the anthology of 6 short stories by people like the Soska Sisters, Eric July, Jay David, you know him as Junk 3PO, you know, Az from Heel vs. Babyface, Mauler, and The Critical Drinker, with multiple artists for each short story coming out. 338,266 total sales, 9,283 total books sold. So now we're going to really get into it, where I put up this tweet, which got 9,300 views, very good, 82 likes, 9 comments. I just finally placed my huge order from the Rippaverse, covering all bases. Picked up Saints and Sinners with stories written by, of course, Mauler, John 3PO, Heel vs. Babyface, Critical Drinker, Soska Sisters, Eric July, Rippaverse #4, Bloodroot #1, CGC, The Horseman #1, CGC, of course, written by the legendary Chuck Dixon, the Norfolk book pack, and some books for a friend, as well as a ton of other merch. And I said, man, that 60% Zaylan coupon sure went a long way, because normally this would have cost me $741. I saved $444, plus I got free shipping for my membership, and it came out to like $320.09. And then you had clowns like, of course, Riley saying, lol, $300, you know, $300 you've probably never seen in your entire life. How many weeks of allowance is that? Spend an adult amount of money next time you brag. But the funny thing is no matter how little or how much I actually spend on the Rippaverse or any sort of indie comics, it's never good enough for the weirdos who are always consistently pocket watching myself when it comes to YouTube or when it comes to my normal everyday life. So to them, I don't really care. Stop crying over the way I spend my money as an adult, as you came out of nowhere. You didn't have to comment on it. Nobody cares, because most of my comments are positive and I just happen to have you there. So I'm going to make fun of you and monetize it on YouTube. You also have other clowns like Giant Jenga Nuts, right? 5 likes, by the way, is all you have. You gained absolutely nothing from putting out this absolute garbage of tweet, because you had no comebacks, you really had no arguments, and your profile picture is, of course, a terribly drawn caricature of Eric July, drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. So for you to sit there and call anybody a simp, literally your profile picture absolutely explains who the real simp is. 6 hours, 0 likes, GG. 18 likes, because, of course, nobody really gave a crap for 6 whole hours about your garbage tweet. Try again. Please do. And in my response to, of course, Riley himself talking about $300, right? I say, my guy, when you work a real job, stop water sporting on an autistic woman who was groomed by Yamasa and perhaps hit a girl's G-spot with your manhood, then we could talk about who got real money. By the way, this would have cost me $741, but I got this all with a discount coupon. You know, a discount coupon that, of course, I got whether or not I refunded Zaylan, which I did not, because again, I'm not going to cry over $25. I know reading comprehension is hard for your below room temperature IQ, but geez, your high school brokey mentality insults don't affect grown adults that spend their money in any way they want to. This is chump change by comparison to how much money I've spent this month. Do better with a prayer hands emoji. So for the people that are listening and not actually watching the video, thank you again for listening. Whether you're listening or watching on your phone or PC, I appreciate you. Subscribe. But prayer hands emoji for you, buddy. And then you have other clowns who are going around saying, using a coupon isn't the flex you think it is, but I said, this is like crying about people waiting for a huge Steam sale and then crying that a person bought 7 games for the price of 1. Because these are the type of people that sound like PlayStation fanboys, where they sit there and they wait and they wait and they wait, and people buy multiple games on a Steam sale, whether it be a winter sale or summer sale or spring sale, and these dudes get mad that they spent $70 on a game on their platform of choice, which games on PC are much, much cheaper on, PC. And then they get all these different games by just simply waiting for a sale rather than spending $60 per game. They can get multiple games for the price of that one game. And I was like, you sound retarded. So the games they bought lost value. Goes on to say, they're not physical, never had value to begin with. The only value they hold is what the seller wants it to be. My collections are physical and they hold value on the personal level due to the wear and tear me and my kids put on them. My Steam games have no value. Over time, though, your physical games will deteriorate, and then your physical games will have no value unless you sell them before they fully deteriorate, because all those DVDs and Blu-rays and CDs and cartridges deteriorate over time. Including the systems. Your systems will deteriorate over time. And then you go on this, I say, the point still stands. You're crying on a post to another adult about the adult spending money on what they want. Makes you sound like a brokey. I pay full price for my purchases. Congratulations. You are entitled to that. You are entitled to do that. However, for most things, I don't care about spending full price. Most times I will wait for a sale, especially when it comes to video games, considering I have a huge backlog. So I'm not going to sit there and buy every single new game day one. Or I have Game Pass for things of that nature. You have to wait for a sale or a coupon for 60% off. You are the brokey, bud. Again, you sound like one of those stupid, retarded PlayStation fanboys who will sit there and cry, support the devs over and over again. You think that the developer deserves to have my money on day one when majority of their video games are broken at launch. To which I go on to say, I don't have to wait for a sale, you retard. Lol. I've bought every single Rippaverse release day one or within the first week of release. Getting stuff on a sale or with a coupon makes me a smart individual to pay less money for product, especially product I would never normally buy. Paying day one for broken video games makes you sound stupid, and I guarantee I have more money than you. Trust me. Trust and believe I have more money than you. Because I buy so many games on sale. That's a big reason, and Game Pass. Of course, I'm sure my audience, my real viewing audience, is tired of me talking about Game Pass, but it's the truth. I absolutely would have more money than you, considering if you buy your games at full price, you're spending more money on them, and I'm paying for Game Pass and buying games on sale. So I think it's absolutely hilarious watching these guys melt down over me simply spending my money on what I want to spend my money on, and these guys are mad that I don't spend my money on them, and I'm certainly not spending my money on a fat, overweight, out of shape individual water sporting on an autistic girl who's probably more or less autistic than he is. So thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. If you do like this video, smash the like button. Comment below if you feel all this. Subscribe for more content. Hit the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video or go live on the channel. And I will see you all on the next one. Peace.